Hey everybody, it's me Margaret, back with part 2 of this Q&A series. You ask the questions, I'm giving you my replies, but I encourage you to add your expertise in the comment section below and or read the great contributions this community is sheepishly sharing with one another. So without further ado, let's continue. Tony D. Hovater? Hope this one's okay, she says, and she puts a smiley face. She says, do you find it difficult having fur babies to keep fur away from your yarn and crochet work? Yes. And of course it's okay to ask. Those of us who have fur babies, our cats and dogs that we love so much, we know we have fur issues, and it is a battle to keep it off of stuff. But I love the dogs and cats more than I dislike dealing with the fur problem. So I wash everything before I donate, so it's not a problem in me passing that off to someone else. I have those roller things in every room of the house, even in my car, and I just go over it when it gets to be, visible on here and starting to bother me. And then I wash it before I donate it or give it to someone. Now, here's a neat little thing my daughter just gave me. It's a yarn ball, and I don't know where she got it, but it has this little, it's a removable rubber thing here on the bottom that is fantastic because it keeps it still on the table. Now, what's so great about this is it's actually a real yarn bowl. You're supposed to put your yarn through one of the holes before you begin your project. And then it keeps this, your working yarn, in the bowl. I find that I don't want to put it through because I want to take my project with me. And for instance, Thomas has to have his wisdom teeth out on Friday, so I'll be working on this, say, at night. I'm rushing around in the morning for us to go. I'm going to grab this like this and stuff it into a project bag. And off I'll go. I don't want to take the bowl with me when I'm out and about. By having a yarn bowl, I used to use this mixing bowl thing, but by having that, it keeps your yarn from rolling across the floor, which may, contribute to adding to the hair or whatever. But I also do vacuum a lot. As a matter of fact, we have 3 floors, and I now have 3 vacuums. I got an iRobot vacuum for Christmas that takes care of the main floor up there. I also have the big pet kind for, what's it called? A Dyson.
My word, I'm so boring.
And then I have Karen Ann Lothrup. She's also one who's been around a long time. I miss Thomas being in your videos. I hope he'll do some of his antics if he's home. Could you, Thomas? Oh, look, just in time.
What?
Just in time. I was doing a Q&A section, and Karen asked, where's Thomas? She misses Thomas with his antics. When she said, could you make an appearance, Thomas? So Karen, this is kind of how we make our appearance with Thomas. You can always find him either playing video games or getting something to eat. And what are we eating now?
Food.
Obviously food. What's your food of choice today?
Chicken pot pie.
A chicken pot pie. He used to call that a chicken pie pie back in one day. So it's delicious. Got any? Yeah, that Thomas. He's 6 feet 1 inch tall and 175 pounds, and several years older. Back when he used to do those videos, he was around 11 or so. So. Magnets. And a hat. Which rose is it? And a hat! Oh, Olivia, that's beautiful. Maybe not the model, but the hat is beautiful. Bonnie Regal says, do you still like crocheting more than knitting? No. Crocheting is that's my comfort food, so to speak. I go to crochet and it makes me feel like I'm coming home, so to speak. Knitting, though, is very empowering. Knitting is more versatile, and I enjoy the process when it's not too complicated. Knitting patterns can give me a headache, so I try to stay away from anything that is too complicated, at least at this point in my knitting career.
What?
Oh, there's the other one.
Hey.
Okay, I just had to break down my setup here and reset everything up so I could take a picture of my other son. But look what happened in the process. Cat on work. I'm afraid it's sort of unavoidable if you're a pet lover. We interrupt this incredibly boring segment with a touch of levity. Here's a memory from Christmas Eve. Okay, here we are, the Olanders, heading to Walmart for our annual, what do you call this game?
Find
your
family member again.
Santa shopping spree.
Okay, I like that. Secret Santa shopping spree. Everybody has their money.
Stocking shopping, that's it.
Tyler, did you hear?
Stocking shopping.
Stocking shopping. All right, Tyler, did you hear the rule? You just have to stay under your bill. You can. That means that whatever it costs, the tax. You can't have any tax out of your own pocket.
Present plus tax has to be under 20.
That's exactly right. So we have all drawn names and nobody knows who anybody has. We are going into the new Walmart and several of us don't know our way around in that store yet. So that ought to be interesting. And we can't let each other see. So I hope no one arrests us for shoplifting as we tippy-toe around trying not to let anyone see what we have purchased. So
as long as we're in the store, I don't think that's a risk.
No, you know how I had to try to hide what I was holding.
Yeah.
When I passed somebody
You stuffed it under your shirt. So
I did not put it under my shirt.
What you can do is get you one of those baskets and put it in it and just keep it away from anybody.
But one time I ran into Dad in the store and I was like, go away! There's another lady right there who's probably like, oh, this girl's crazy. Or they were going to call the cops on Dad.
I thought Dad was a molester.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm looking at questions from the YouTube community tab, which is something new. We can actually write things and have them come up in the feed if you have it set to see those. And this first question comes from Sandra Simqui. I'm not sure how to say her name, and it's a very long question, but what it boils down to is she has a mother who is deaf and relies on the closed captioning to watch YouTube videos. Well, if you've ever heard my accent get translated in these automatic translators, nothing comes out right. So it's very difficult. And we as YouTube creators have the ability to enter in what we have said, but it's incredibly time consuming. And I think you all know that I do a lot of editing on my videos, cutting out all the pauses, the coughs, the stupid ramblings and things like that. And I like to put in pictures so you know what I'm talking about, and text so that you can see the spelling of something. I just think it's very important to do that. So I have not taken the time to do every one of my videos, to enter in the text for the closed captioning replacement. And I feel guilty about that now that I'm reading this by Sandra, because her mother can't hear exactly what I'm talking about. She can only see. So this right here is probably really boring for her.
My word, I'm so boring.
What normally happens is for the big creators is they have an assistant that can do that. Or maybe there's some fancier, expensive software that they have that could read their voice better, hear what they're saying better, and then the text can be copied and pasted for a time saver. I don't have that. If anybody knows of some PC software that would be is better at that and has experience with it, don't just throw out some names because I can find the names, but if you have experience with a software that does a good job of translating to text, please let me know. Okay, this is a good one from Margaret Frank. She says, from one Margaret to another, have you ever gone by one of the many nicknames for Margaret? And there are many. After reading Little Women when I was 13, I tried to make everyone call me Meg, but I couldn't get it to stick. What about you? Yes, I wanted everyone to call me Peggy when I was about 6 years old. And I don't know why Peggy, but that is a short name for Margaret. And it didn't stick either. So, now I like Margaret. It's become a more popular name for young people. But when I was young, the only person named Margaret was that mean little girl from Dennis the Menace. Everybody else was named cute names like Cindy and Sherry, and I was Margaret. But now, whatever. Now she has a crochet question. Do you have a recommendation for a cotton dishcloth yarn that can stand up to laundering and not fade as dreadfully? Now, if you have used those typical big box yarns like Peaches and Cream and whatever the other one is, Sugar and Cream, they fade monstrously. I mean, it's horrible. And yet they're good workhorse yarns. So if you do everything in cream or white, you're set, right? But no, that's not the case. I love the feel of I Love This Cotton from Hobby Lobby. I've also heard that Dishy that you can get, I think that's from Knit Picks, is also a wonderful cotton. I had good luck washing the little bit that I have done for I Love This Cotton, but I have no experience with the Dishy. So if someone else can suggest a good workhorse yarn that doesn't fade miserably, please let us know.
Time for another levity break. After Christmas, I bought some traditionally British Christmas crackers on sale for 75% off. None of us had ever had these before, including Maggie's boyfriend, Brian.
I see.
During Christmas. Christmas 3.0.
A video?
Oh, I like your mustache. All right, Brian, let me see you in your hat. Oh, you look so British.
I look so small.
And there's Thomas. He has a different mustache.
Yeah, we
than
all have
Thomas.
different mustaches.
The party.
He's the great lover. It's Casanova. Let me see, Tom.
Thomas, what's yours called?
I know. The party boy.
That's the party one.
And now I am the schoolboy. The smart.
Oh, yours.
I have scruff.
You look like Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I do. Why?
I don't know, but yeah, you did yours trimmed up.
Done. No electronics required.
Karen Samiano, I think. Good question, and I'm going to need your help on this one because I don't have an answer. I would like to know if you've ever crocheted a fingerless glove and then added a thumb and cover later. I cannot find anything on YouTube. Now, I'm guessing she's talking about those flaps. You know, it's like a little hood for your fingers. You have a fingerless glove, and then this kind of flaps back. I've seen them store-bought where they have a little button that you can hold. It's a loop, and you button it out of the way, and you've got your fingerless gloves. And then it comes over, and you have like a hood to cover these, like a mitten. Same thing for the thumb. The thumb is separate, if I remember correctly. Does anybody know of a good crochet pattern that is available out here? Karen says she looked on YouTube, but she didn't find anything. I don't know if she reads patterns or not, but that sounds like something we all might enjoy. So if you know about it, please share. Now, Dolly Creates, who is actually Mary, wrote this question. What has been one of your favorite projects you've made this year, and what is something you're looking forward to making next year? I finish things and I think, oh, that's my favorite. But right now, off the top of my head, my socks are going to have to be my favorites because they were such a huge accomplishment for me. Wearable socks. I still make mistakes when I knit socks. If for some reason it's not as easy for me as it is for other people. And Sarah Hepworth, the sock queen, also told me that everyone does go through the process. They just don't share it like I do. So maybe it's not as easy for everyone. I don't know. But I still enjoy making socks, even though I don't feel like I can give them as gifts yet because of my mistakes. But I'm very proud of my socks, and I'm really happy when I look at them. Now, what am I looking forward to making next year? Do some color work, and we're going to talk about that when I do my craftsy goals.
Correction, that's crafty goals for 2018. And since we're going to talk about that in a future video, we'll leave it right there.
Now, Martha Pamilio, I think, asks a question that's going to be very difficult for me to answer without having something to demonstrate with. She says, here's my question. What's the best way to weave in ends on the granny stripe blanket that everyone is knitting right now? I am new to crochet and want to change colors every 2 to 3 rows, and I'm curious about magic cake balls because I can't figure out how you would cleanly change colors at the end of a row. All right, that's 2 questions. Let's take that second question first. Magic cake balls, she's talking like Karen cakes or anything along those lines. You can't cleanly change colors at the end of a row because you can't anticipate when it's going to stop.
Now here's a picture of what Martha's trying to avoid. Do you see in this instance where the blanket stripe comes along and immediately changes from purple to green? The problem is it's hard to anticipate when the color change is coming up because everything's buried in the middle of a center pull ball. In order to do this, you just have to separate all your colors, and then what's the point of using a Karen cake?
See, I wish I had one to demonstrate. It's basically like 2 different colors of yarn that are joined together, boom, like that. There's very little blending that goes into that point. This project does not lend itself well to the magic cake yarns.
Unless, of course, you don't mind having a color change in the middle of a stripe.
Now, as far as weaving in the ends in a granny stripe blanket,
Tamara Kelly from Moogly.com does an excellent tutorial on weaving in ends for a crochet project, and I'm going to put that link in the description box below.
my favorite trick for weaving in ends is to split the yarn with the tapestry needle. It makes it kind of stick and hang on.
Pick up a piece of yarn, see, and then I split it. This is something I've kind of learned over the years. Well, actually, I read that somewhere, but I have learned through proof that it works really well. I've had about enough of myself as I can stand as I'm working through these question and answer sessions. And I want to tell you that it is pretty tricky trying to decide how to answer, if I should answer, or even if I should want to answer. As a matter of fact, I just cut out a big chunk because I rambled on like a crazy idiot, and I'm not sure if I made any sense. However, I will answer the most obvious question that you probably have right now, and that is, Margaret, what are you doing? And this is the way I work when I have to do any kind of computer work or whatever, is I put it on my treadmill desk, which is basically my regular treadmill turned into a desk. If you don't know about non-exercise activity thermogenesis, then look it up. The acronym is NEAT. And sitting is the new smoking. I'm sure you've heard that before. That's nothing new. And this is the way I keep from sitting on my bum all day. Probably should do a tutorial on how to convert your treadmill for less than $5, shouldn't I? But in the meantime, look for some answers to other questions that people may have asked that I will answer in text down in the section over there. I know Ambi Crafts Read asked about 400 questions. That was full of things like my favorite color to my best YouTube tip and things like that. But I think that could probably be a video all by itself. But you know, we have to draw the line somewhere or I'd definitely be putting you to sleep. So thanks for watching and be a part of this, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.
No, Granny, I'm not. Would y'all like to meet my grandmother? Come here. Hi, honey, come here. This is my grandmother. Hi. This is my grandmother. She's here visiting me. She has her hair in rollers, so I'm so